Thank you. Perfect, Neeraj. So myself, hi everyone. Myself Ram, and that's my full name, Ram Chanchilarige. And I come with about 13 years of IT experience. Working majorly, I worked in ERP, e-commerce, OMS, order management systems, 3PL, and several enterprise solutions. So I majorly was working in the domain of e-commerce previously, and worked on developing multiple e-commerce products. Started with mobile commerce for British Telecom, and then I worked with different other companies across the globe. Certified MuleSoft architect 2 times, and worked on. I also work along with integration on different digital services, which is also mobiles and portals. I'm also a MuleSoft mentor, which is where I happened to meet Neeraj in one of the forums there. And I'm based out of UK, which is why probably you will see me sitting in a dark place, and it's already, though it is in late little afternoonish evening, it's already very dark here. So any questions, anything I can take up anytime. I'm not sure if the mic is enabled, but at the end Q&A or even after the session, I'm always happy to answer any queries that you have. Quickly, what is that we are going to cover? So in today's session, first and foremost, what is the need for integrating with SAP, and what are the different approaches? And I saw some question about how do we do with idocs, do we do with idocs or not, so some questions like that. And most important is how do we accelerate our interaction or integration with SAP, and the complete wrap up and the Q&A part. So these are the major points that we are going to cover today. Without much ado, I'll quickly jump into what is the need for integration. All right. So some of you who are working with SAP would know this. SAP started with a statement saying their ECC 6 support will be ending by 2025, but there is a lot of pressure from the customers. Now they are changing it to 2027, and it's still a question mark whether it is going to be 2027 or is it going to be much later than that. So why is it so important for us to know is because any ERP system implementation, ERP is considered like the hub of all the transactions, your finance transactions. That is one repository where you can view the data, your complete set of financial records, your P&L statements. You think of any project that you're doing today, what is the end result of it? What is that you're doing the project for? You are going to generate one table or one report for your CXO team, which says what is the amount of money that I'm making for that particular project. You could be working with a telecom domain customer, or you could be working with a retail customer. End of the day, everyone is working to provide one simple report to the CXO league saying what is my balance that I'm going to take home. So that is what you would be supporting. And for that, the biggest and the most important driver to generate that particular report for you is your ERP solution. And consider any change on that particular system, it's going to be very critical, it's going to be very important, and have has to be monitored very very much, much into a deeper level. Now this is how you would see a typical landscape. And if you're thinking 2027 is much far away, do we really need to start worrying about your migrating from your current ERP system? It is not. Anyone working with an ERP, for example Neeraj, who has tons of experience working with the ERP solutions, would tell you that any change on the ERP, and you're completely changing the ERP itself, which means you will have to plan for it, and you will have to execute it in such a way that there is no room for error. So for that, if you look at it, this is a typical landscape. And your ERP is not just going to be simply sitting onto your RDBMS or of Oracle or DB2 and giving you the data. How it works is you will have one ERP, then you have an ESB kind of a solution, you will have custom enterprise reporting running somewhere, then you will have geographical. If you look at a large organization, you will have a separate SAP instance or a separate ERP instance running in say India, somewhere it's running in the UK, and some other instance running in the US. So you will need to look at how all this is going to be migrated from the current system onto the new system. It could be either SAP completely, or it could be something else. So you need to meticulously plan for it. And we are talking about a timeline of 6 7 years right now, or 5 years right now. During this time, what other challenges that you see during this time is that you will see several regulatory challenges. And what are those regulatory challenges is, I can point out to you, there is a recent change in the US books, how they take the finance data, and which is impacting every industry in the US, and how you have to make yourself compliant to the taxation system. So that those are the regulatory changes. Meanwhile, you will have a lot of mergers. Any large organization will keep acquiring companies, or there would be demergers coming in. There would be some kind of outsourcing. Some division of your company might be going into a different company. All these kind of things will keep happening in the next 5 years when you're planning for it, along with certain technical challenges. Someone will come and say, I need, while this project is running, I want some customization to be done, which we all face every now and then. So these are the different challenges that you see day in, day out, about how your project timeline could be impacted, and which is one of the reasons why you need to select the right approach to do your move from current ECC system onto your S4 HANA, or for that matter, if you're moving away from SAP onto a different ERP solution. Understand first what the approaches are. And when you're bringing an integration layer, imagine you need to support the existing formats, you need to support the new formats, and you need to support the custom development. And that is why you are from an integration stream like MuleSoft. Anypoint platform would be a key member into the whole discussion of migrating from a legacy ERP solution to the new ERP solution. Okay, now let's quickly look at what are the different approaches. So one of the primary things that everyone who is working with an SAP system will know, that the mode of communication is iDocs. And this is more, it's a traditional way of integrating with SAP. And when I say traditional way, is it not relevant today? It is still. But is it the preferred way? SAP is saying no, it is not the preferred way today. With the changing generation, it is not the preferred way of communication anymore, because iDocs are heavy. iDocs have got some limitations by themselves. Because the way you look at it as an iDoc is simple. It's an XML file where you will have your nodes completely defined, and because of that, it becomes really heavy to parse through the data. And you will again need to convert it, say for example, into a JSON kind of a thing, and then you need to do a transformation on it. So you are talking about each iDoc having 2 to 3 levels of transformation, and then getting inserted into a different database or something. So if you look at it, you have a processing time. It is more and very much important for you to understand what is the best way to attack this problem, or best way to address this issue, and what is the other way to connect to it. That is called BAPIs. I mean, it is BAPI, so people call it BAPI. So what is it is, it is basically, it's a business application programming interface. This is this is a way you either connect. It is more like an API communication, where you talk to either SAP or non-SAP application. So this is one style of connecting to a different application. The third is called JCO, and this is a Java connector. Majorly for, it is like opening a kind of, I don't want to call it a tunnel, but then it is more like you are opening a tunnel and then pushing all the data between two systems much faster. But then you have your own there are several limitations. There is queuing, and you have a latency coming in, certain limitations because of that, so on and so forth. So that's the Jacob. And the last, and what is that I'm stressing today on, is OData. And when I talk about OData services, these are basically BAPIs. And what happens is, these are REST kind of BAPIs. And initially, in fact, OData services started by Microsoft, and but made prominent by SAP. And every communication is used by OData. Now, with all these ways in which you can connect with SAP, what is the best way for you to do it? Let's look at it. So before we go into the actual, what is the best way to connect to SAP? This is a short video. It's about 2 minutes. Uh, just have a look at it. Let me know if you can't hear the volume clearly. It's Richard Attenborough, so it's a bit, his voice is a bit husky, but I'm not too sure if you can hear it clearly. Else, if you are on YouTube, you can directly go and check it on YouTube, called Smart Crows in Japan.
Crows have become highly skilled at making a living in these new urban environments. In this Japanese city, they have devised a way of eating a food that normally they can't manage. Dropping a nut from a great height onto a hard road does sometimes crack it. But some nuts are particularly tough. So the crows have devised a better way. Drop it among the traffic. The problem now is collecting the bits without getting run over. So some birds have refined their technique. They station themselves beside pedestrian crossings. Wait for the lights to stop the traffic. Then collect your cracked nut in safety.
So I hope you found it interesting. So there are different ways a crow could have done it. So
This was very interesting, Ram.
yeah, so I love the crows. I'm sure tomorrow it will learn how to even press the button and make the traffic stop. So they're much smarter than us. So yeah, so there are different ways it could have cracked the nut. So it was dropping from the air, then it was, picking it up, then it understood, okay, there are certain challenges, like you were looking at, I was talking to you about different challenges that will come your way when you are trying to get to your destination or get your nut, right? Then those challenges, how could it overcome? It was looking for a safe way to handle it, and then it understood, okay, this is the way for me to address it. And for you, it is important for you to adapt to it. And what is the smartest way of doing the thing that is there? And today, SAP is talking about the smartest way to connect with it is called OData. And why OData? Because SAP is saying that for me, I produce all my data, or all I give out my data to any system for that matter, whether it could be your UI5 front end or Fiori based front end or anything, would be via OData. So it could be, I can give you out to a report to you, which you can put it into Excel in the form of an OData. Or for me as an external system, I'm coming into you and getting the data, that is also in the form of OData service. So that is why for us to know, it is very important to know how to consume OData, and what is the best way and what is the most optimal way of connecting with SAP and getting these OData services and consuming them. Now, let's look at what is the API lifecycle with SAP. Like you would have, most of you would have seen the MuleSoft API lifecycle, like which looks like an infinity kind of a thing, where it starts with discover, design, develop, so on, deploy, along with all the components like runtime manager and everything. So similarly, on the SAP side of the things, we need to first understand what is that life cycle, because SAP is a business based system. It is first for us to understand what is that business problem that we are trying to solve. So for example, today we are looking at solving a problem of, say, a supply chain, or you are talking about solving a problem with, say, a sales order or something of that sort. So first and the foremost thing is, what is my source system going to be, and what is my target system going to be? And you need to first and the foremost, the best way to learn it is go to api.sap.com, which is what I will show you right now. And if you look at it, so this is the place where it all starts. Okay, this is what SAP's documentation repository is for all its APIs, or it is where all the journeys that are needed for us to learn about is listed. And we will come to it in a little later about what is it going to be and how do we look at the different services. So what are the different steps that are involved is, first you grow there, and first is you have to discover what kind of APIs you have got there. And while whenever you talk to someone from an SAP background, you will not be able to talk to them in the same terminology that you talk on the MuleSoft world, because the way their APIs are defined is completely different to the way our APIs on our side are different defined. So it is important for us to understand, they call it A to A, B to B, A to X. So these are the different type of APIs that they've got. And A to A type of APIs are, like it says, it is exchange data from system to system within a company. So that's the most important point. You can use an A to A API to connect within the organization. And next is B2B, which is one business to another. So if you are exposing something, say for example, I am a manufacturing company and I want to expose my API to a different company, say maybe I make some parts for Apple. So then I want to give them a service, then I use the B2B service, which in MuleSoft world also we call it B2B. And we do some kind of EDI kind of a transaction there. And next is A to X. So this is the third type of APIs that they provide, which is, again, I'm not talking about the versions of ODatas or anything here. These are the different business type of APIs. So this, for example, is where you get to call the UI. And this is, for example, like your UX APIs kind of a thing, where you have a cross application communication that you want to do. So those are the types of APIs that you have. And the last and the important, once you discover them, once you define, once you discover, then it is the time to consume the APIs. Now let's get into the api.business api.sap.com. So here, if you look at it, first and foremost, like I said, is this is the place where it all starts, because a lot of people have asked questions about, can I create an account to play around with it? I quickly tried it and I could do it. I mean, this is my previous account itself, but I could directly go in and create a new account as well. So you can definitely play around with it, get familiar, and I'm sure you can do better, because for me it is more on the job learning. If you start exploring, I'm sure you will find much more and you will become much more proficient than me. So first go into discover. So here you start with, for example, you understand what is the difference between the different systems that we have got. And for example, now I want to say HANA Cloud, because HANA Cloud is what you would be communicating with, or you would be say integrating with. So it is saying that you like to integrate with SAP HANA Cloud. So what is that product? Because you would be the middleware in the center. For you need to understand what is your source, what is your target. So it is HANA Cloud. Say I want to take Salesforce. Okay, so it is saying, okay, there is an integration package for it, and it has got certain things with Salesforce being the source, and or vice versa, it is Salesforce HANA Cloud, and then sorry, S4 HANA Cloud and Salesforce. So I go in and I'll see, okay, there are certain several integration flows. And why is this a great place for you to start is because if you go here, you will see that all your business cases are already defined. And when you look at the business cases, in fact, if someone asks you, can you define the business flow or the integration flow for this, you can actually utilize everything that is present here, and make your integration layer as MuleSoft, and then give the documentation to someone. So this is a great place for you to start. Not too sure why this is taking so long. Generally, you get a flow here where it shows about the complete flow about what is the source going to be, what is the target, and what is the format in which you exchange. I think I'm logged out, maybe. Yep. Yeah, I took my SSO. It's logging in. Nope. All right. Yeah. So this you can see, it's a great for you to start. For example, this being your source system, Salesforce, this being your target system, or vice versa. Like I said, you have your S4 HANA system, and this is the flow which is defined in SAP API Business Hub, and this flow you can replicate, and you can see what is the communication that it is expecting. It is a SOAP, and then finally you are sending an OData. Like I said, the communication usually with S4 HANA system is OData. So either it could be incoming or inbound or outbound. It is all OData mostly. So you can go in and check the different flows that are available. For example, you have a say, yeah, this is a great example. Replicate product data from SAP S4 HANA Cloud to Salesforce. So this is the brilliant way in which the documentation is available for us to understand what services are available. And this does not, however, give you a detail about what are the fields, what is the, can I play around with it? No, that is not possible yet in this platform right now. What you can do is, however, you can go back here and then you can say explore. So when you go here and explore the integrations, again, I'll go into HANA Cloud, and again, let me go to Salesforce. Here you see the different integration flows, and then you also have a chance to look at the APIs that are available within that. So let me paste the link that I've got. This is easy. So right now, what are the different APIs that are available out of SAP S/4HANA Cloud? So these are the different set of APIs. Now, if you look at it, first one, for example, pricing in sales. So if you want to look at the different, what is the API reference? So yeah, the complete details are available here. And can you play around with it? Definitely yes. So this is one of the beauties of how you can one of the beautiful ways in which you can connect or you can get the complete reference of it, API documentation out of the box, and without any customization done on SAP. So you can consider that as your baseline when you're starting your integration mapping. And on top of it, you can build, for example, most of the times, I have been working, by the way, on SAP related implementations for close to a decade now. I can tell you most of the SAP implementations fail when you have more of customization and less of configuration. And the benefit that you get with SAP is that majority of the fields are already available, majority of them are accessible from the outside world. All you need to do is how to use those fields, and the moment you don't know it, you don't have a good configurator to do that, you will start customizing it, which is the reason why most of the SAP implementations break. So first understand what is available. From coming from an integration background, look at the way how you can utilize the existing fields. When you talk to an ABAPer, who is the guy that would be customizing the system, talk to him about a field level, and your business analyst can also look at saying, okay, this is the way I can utilize the same field and talk to it. For example, now I want to try out, say, so this is for example, get sales pricing access. This is what I want to try out, and I can simply say click, say, add sample values, which is also very handy for me. And then I run. I see a 200 response, and this is the response I can get. So you can immediately, before you even start with start with your project, you can give this as a data model for someone, and they can start looking at it, the different fields. And you can say, okay, I don't want, say, condition usage, you can exclude that field. So those kind of things, because your data model is already defined, which is comes in very handy for you, which accelerates the way you can integrate with the system, which also helps you the decrease the overall integration efforts if you are looking at from that angle. So this is one of the ways, and this is a great place for you to start, go in and explore, because there are tons of them available. And the moment you see them, we have talked about discover, explore, and consume, all the three steps. And the moment you get into discover, I'm telling you, you will start understanding how SAP is designing the things going forward. And you can utilize and the best thing is you can utilize the integration flows that are available. And there are several other products. In fact, they have started, I have seen recently, yeah, government of India has got for the GST implementation as well, a different integration flows defined. There are for multiple other things, even, in fact, though some of them are not here, I could in fact search on the internet, and I could see that there are several other out of the API business hub as well. There are few available, which you can look at for the integration flows. There are plenty of them. Most of you would be using in for Salesforce, or yeah, SAP PO is another one. So yeah, different things you can look at. So this is a great place for you to start with. Now you might ask me, okay, this is all good. What about if they are there anything industry specific? For example, my customer is on say a different platform altogether. So what it is I basically have worked with different governments so far, and I've worked on public sector. So this is the example that what SAP is doing is they are also building industry specific accelerators kind of a thing, which will enable you to communicate easily. For example, for public sector and utilities, they have built something called SAP MCF. And how it gives you a response is, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm running a mock server on my machine. And yeah, so this is my mock server. Whenever you hit it with the details of, for example, this is my endpoint, get endpoint, this is the way in which it gives you the data. Any kind of service that you call on MCF, this is the kind of OData response that you get. Of course, I put, for my simplicity sake, for the sake of meetup, I put it as a JSON, but generally it comes as an XML, and you can again parse it back to JSON. So these are the kind of industry specific accelerators that are coming on from the SAP side as well. So for you, the key takeaways are, how do you connect with the SAP? There are different ways. What is the optimal way, and what is SAP telling you to connect to? What is SAP's preferred way of communication? OData. And are there anything industry specific? Yes. How do I know how to connect? Go to api.business, api.sap.com, play around there. You have tons of resources. Start it there, and then you can start looking at customizing and building on top of it. So try around. If you want to learn more about MCF, I'm very happy to tell you there are not many places where you can find about MCF, but luckily I've got a chance to work on MCF hands on, and I can tell you how it works. And most importantly, because we are all coming in from MuleSoft background, this is very important for you. Remember it. OData API filters. This is the reason, I put it in bold in one of in the most important section is because there were people who cracked their brains for days and days in my project because we couldn't figure out that it was expecting it to be case sensitive. And we have spent days, in fact, 2 or 3 days of the project was just gone because we weren't getting any response from the APIs. And when you're working on a large scale ERP migration, you will know what is the value of 1 or 2 days that you will be wasting. So remember, OData API filters are all case sensitive. It is important that you pass it and properly, and you will get a response. So that is where, probably I'm on time, Neeraj.
Yes, Ram, we are on time.
Perfect. So what I will also give you is, because this is going to be shared with you, go ahead, please try it. These are the useful resources that you will get. And if you want to see how I created the account, it's simple. I just went on to api.business, api.sap.com. Sorry, I kept saying api.business because earlier it used to be called api.business.sap.com, api.sap.com, and then that is where you can create an account and play around with it. With that, I will move into
We
Q&A.
have few questions, Ram.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Also, you are going to Q&A only. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
So, first question is from Bipin. Can we use O data in MuleSoft to listen for events from SAP?
Events. Okay, that's a tricky one. And when you say events, do you want to? So is it a audio, Neeraj, or
Yeah, I
is
can
it
I
a?
can activate his mic. That's not a problem. Let me bring Bipin here. Hey Bipin, are you able to open up your mic?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I will, yeah.
Yeah. When I say events, I basically meant something similar to this document listener operation, which we already
Right.
have with the SAP connector. So, for instance, you have vendors in SAP and there is a change in the vendor information. So, right now, how we are doing it, we are having a IDOC listener, and the change in vendors, it triggers an IDOC, which is received
Yeah.
in MuleSoft. So, I was
Yeah.
wondering if same can be achieved using OData.
Definitely, Bipin. So when you have, so it is basically, uh, like I said, OData is nothing but a BAPI, which is again an API call. So what happens is whenever you do this particular action, you can create an event trigger in SAP which invokes something.
Mhm.
Okay. So
But
based on that, again, the mule flow can be created based on that. Yeah.
I mean, we have this dedicated SAP OData connector, right?
Right.
So I was wondering if using that connector itself, can I just directly listen to something, for example? Is it
Okay.
possible
So
or?
you have to create a trigger on SAP end, and that you will have to. So OData connector cannot directly listen to it. What you can do is you have to create the trigger on SAP end, and from there the flow can continue on MuleSoft end.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Thanks for
thank you.
that. Is
Thank you for that, Ram. Let me see which is our next question. So, is there a way to get the API specs of S4 HANA APIs so that we can publish them in Exchange, which act as central API hub?
so when you say, yeah, I'm just being, is there a way to get the API spec of SAP S4 HANA APIs? Okay, so we publish them in Exchange. Um I will have to try this, Joydeep. So for me, as far as I know, I am not too sure if RAML or Swagger specs are available, but then I will have to try that because always it used to be used to get the data model downloaded and build the specs here, but this is an interesting one. I will have to check that, Joydeep.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Ram. Parakota, can the record? Yes, we will have the recording of it. Dheeraj is saying spec can be downloaded as .json
Yeah.
and shared on Exchange. Thank you. Thank you for that, Dheeraj.
Thanks, Viraj. That was helpful. Yeah.
That is helpful. Any further questions we have? Where the recording will be posted on the event page itself, Parakota. I will show you the steps in the end how to access to the recording. Any other questions apart from recordings?
Thanks, Pawan. What data is exposed to API to external systems? Yes. Yes, Aniket. Was your question is, can OData services be consumed by systems like MuleSoft? If that is the question, that is how I understood it. Yes, is the answer. Yeah.
Awesome. So Ram, can I stop the recording or are you going to show anything more?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay,
You can.
so I'm stopping the recording.